And lastly, I'm going to pass this over to my friend Kevin because we lost one of the stars of Clerks. And it was sad to everyone who knew Lisa Spoonauer.
Lisa Spoonauer played Caitlin in Clerks, the girl that got away, the one that Dante pines after, the one who eventually has sex with the dead guy in a bathroom.
Yes.
I wanted to bury the lead on that one.
Yes, right. She comes out saying that was the best ever.
and her performance is pretty.
It's great,
astounding. Lisa was one of the chief architects of Clerks. Jason Mewes, of course, is my dear friend, and we do a lot of shit together. But he came in to work on the days that he worked. He was too busy partying at that age. So it was me, Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, and Lisa Spoonauer, the 4 cast members, kind of rehearsing for a month before anybody got out there to shoot and stuff. And when I heard that she passed away, I know she'd been sick in the past, but when I heard she passed away, the first thing I was thunderstruck by was fuck, she dreamed my dream for me and with me. And we built something together. And how I met her was, I didn't know her. Like a lot of people in Clerks, I either grew up with or have known, for years. But we had auditions at the First Avenue Playhouse in Atlantic Highlands, and we got Brian O'Halloran out of that, and Marilyn Gigliotti, who played Veronica, Jeff Anderson as well, but I knew him from the video store. He used to come in, and also I knew him from high school. But we couldn't find a Caitlin, and Caitlin needed to be the one that captured his heart, and so she had to be a stunner. She comes in late in the picture, so she's got a lot of catch up to do. She's like the shark in Jaws. They talk about her the whole movie, and you don't see her until the third act.
Right.
So we couldn't find her in the auditions. Nobody came in that felt like it. So I said, I'm going to go to Brookdale, a community college where I used to go. It's not a 4-year school. It's like a 2-year school. You get an associate's degree. And I'd taken acting classes there, so I knew that acting classes. So I'm like, I'm going to go watch an acting class at Brookdale. I went to Brookdale, picked an acting class, sat in the back of the room, and there was about 20 kids, and they were partnered up doing scenes. And Lisa and this guy get up and do a scene, and she was crazy natural. I don't know how else to describe it, but she seemed real. Everyone else smelled like they were acting. The trick to acting is basically you have to deliver those lines as if you are thinking of them for the first time, as if you're having an authentic conversation that is being generated off the top of your head. And the trick is that you've memorized this whole thing. You know exactly what you're going to say. And her delivery was that natural that it felt like, oh, fuck, she's having a real conversation. So I said, that's her. And so I waited till after class, and then I followed her back to her car in the parking lot.
Oh, Lord.
So true. Now that I look back, I'm like, thank God I didn't get maced. So I followed her out to her car, and then I said, excuse me, and she turned around, she looked at me weird, and I said, this is going to sound really creepy, but would you like to be in a movie? And she looks at me up and down, she goes, not if it's porn.
Were you wearing a trench coat at the time?
I was Silent Bob. So I said, it's not. I said, I got a script in my car. And I remember she goes,
oh, my Lord.
I know. And I remember she goes, well, I'm not going there. And I said, no, I'll go.
Filmed by Ted Bundy.
And I'm like, can you help me carry this couch in the van? Oh, wait, was she a great big fat person? They put the lotion. So I go to my car, I get the script. I give her the script for Clerks. It's 160 pages full of dick jokes set in a convenience store. And I was like, hitch your wagon to this star. So I gave it to her and I wrote my number and I said, read it. If you like it, call me. And I would love you to be in it. And she's okay. Got in the car and left. And, I figured, I don't know, what are the chances I hear from her again? 2 days later, she called me and I was like, oh my God, what do you think? And she goes, well, it's certainly not porn, but everybody talks like it is. And she goes, it's funny, do you think you can get away with this? And I was like, yeah, I think. Who's going to stop us? And she's like, all right, I'm in. So there's somebody I barely knew. She lived in New Jersey. She lived in Freehold, the town. So she was within 45 minutes of where I grew up and shit. I had no idea who she was. Saw her and said, please do this movie. She said yes. And that woman became one of the most important people I'd ever meet in my life. I think about her, no bullshit, at least once a day, because at least once a day in my life, I think about Clerks, and not where I'm sitting around jerking off going, thank God it happened.
I'm so good.
Oh my God, I was so smart once. But because like it comes up, it's the keystone of my life. The same way like being married comes up or having a kid comes up. Clerks is a big part of my DNA. And when I talk about it or when I see it, there are posters around my house and shit. She's standing right next to me in the poster. You know, I'm not going to say like we were the Beatles, the five of us, but the five of us on the poster were the brain trust of that movie. I was just a guy that wrote a script, but I needed them to bring it to life. And she came in first day of shooting. We rehearsed that movie for like a month straight at Quick Stop after hours from like 10:30 at night till about 3, 4 in the morning and shit, so that when we did it, we could do it all in one take like a play. We weren't burning various takes, burning a lot of footage. So day one, first thing we shoot is Marilyn, Veronica finding out, Randall in the video store, that Dante's cheated on her. So it's a quick scene with those two, a oneer. But you know, it's maybe a half-page scene. We did that, got 2 takes, we're like, great, moving on. The next thing we shoot is this 7-minute take of Lisa and Brian, who plays Dante, having their whole big conversation. It's the first time you see her in the movie, and it's the first time you're hearing anything about her side of the story.
Right.
So they come in, we rehearse it to death and stuff. They came in and do it. 7-minute take. They'd never fucking dropped the ball. They sound like they're having a conversation, but it's some of the most stylized, gymnastic, fucking oriented dialogue a human tongue will ever have to do. And they dropped it in fucking 1 take. And we did a backup take for the fuck of it, but we never used it. It was the first take. They nailed it. That's what's in the fucking movie. And to this day, you know, that happened almost 25 years ago. To this day, I've shot a bunch of things. That is one of the things I'm most proud of having done as a director. And not because it shows off any fucking panache for me as a director. It really doesn't. Because it's a fucking 2-shot that doesn't move. But it shows that those kids who were not pros, they hadn't trained their whole fucking lives. She went to a couple acting classes. Maybe she acted in high school. Brian had done some community theater. But they got up and I was like, I don't have any money, so please do it right the first time. And they absolutely fucking crushed it, yeah. And so she's a big part of my life. And you know, she didn't really go on with acting. She went home at one point. Her and Jeff were together while we were making the movie, the guy who plays Randall. They met and kind of fell in love. And so they were together for a few years, and then they got married and eventually split up, but remained really great, like friends. So she went back to Jersey and she got married, and she had a daughter named Mia. And every time I talked to her on Facebook, that was, you know, it was the love of her life. She would talk about Mia and stuff. And how much she wanted to be there for her because her health was always in jeopardy. I don't know if it was a cancer or something. I know this much. At one point, she'd gotten so many radiation treatment therapies that her organs had fused together.
Oh, Lord.
So she was always in fucking pain. And she looked fine from the surface. One of these cases of people that, you know, like, you look great, but they're like, but I'm fucking dying inside. She was always in
They
pain.
said for the past 10 years she had been battling chronic illness.
Big time. But she fought it to stay with her kid. Like, she was as wonderful as an actress as she is. And she is in that movie, man. Like, I've gone on to do some other things, but, like, that performance is fucking killer. She was a far better mother. But she's the first of our world to kind of go. And she went way too fucking early, dude. 44.
Yeah.
One of the most generous people I met, in as much as she met a total stranger. Some fat boy came up to her in a parking lot and gave her like a half-assed proposition, and she trusted me and kind of went with it. And we all went on this fucking journey together. I'll miss her all the time. There's an address. She was a big believer. If she'd gotten over this health thing, she was gonna start up this patient advocate foundation because she'd gotten some bad advice early on that if she
had a hard time with the medical professionals that worked with her.
Yes, nobody believed her when she was like, it's this. So in her memory, her brother is asking people to go to justgiving.com and look for the Patient Advocate Foundation. You can kind of donate money in her name.
If you look under Spoonauer, too, I think you can also
find Lisa Spoonauer.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was... Without her, nothing happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still a dude working at a convenience store going, boy, it'd be great to make a movie one day. She was an essential fucking element. And
when you talk about the why not people in your life, who people say, yeah, why not? Let's do this thing, you know. Yeah. And she was definitely one of those people.
She was.
And I know it was hard for you.
It was tough. But it was way tougher for her, I'll be honest with you. She had bad health for years. It's unfucking fair. You know, it's one of those things where you're like, Can't somebody help her? And you realize the limits of technology. Like, we always assume technology will save us. If you're sick, somebody's going to make you better. But there's only so much shit we can do.
Yeah.
And some things can't be fixed. And she sadly couldn't be fixed.
As Kevin mentioned, she was married to Jeff Anderson briefly, who played Randall in the film. And here's a little scene from the two of them together, which I always thought was pretty fucking charming, when she shows up and Randall's watching porn and they have a little conversation. And it runs a while, so we don't have time. It's just a brief little clip. It's certainly worthwhile saying goodbye to her on screen from her work from Clerks. Here's Lisa Spoonauer.
Well, Randall Graves, scourge of the video renter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Asian Design Major herself, Caitlin Bree.
You saw that article? God, isn't it awful? My mother sent that in.
I take it she likes the guy.
You'd think she's marrying him. What are you watching?
Children's programming. What'd your mom say when you told her you weren't engaged anymore?
She said not to come home until after graduation.
Wow, you got thrown out for Dante?
What can I say? He does weird things to me.
Ooh, can I watch?
You can hold me down.
Can I join in?
You might be let down. I'm not a hermaphrodite.
Hey, if you are.
Hey, if you are.
Huge cauldron of wind.
Yeah.
Good night, Lisa.